The runaway success of director James Cameron's Alien sequel in 1986 turned the property into a major franchise for Fox. Executives wanted to strike with a third Alien film while the iron was hot, but coming up with the right story proved tricky. Adding to the threequel's development woes, a revolving door of writers and directors experienced immense frustration with a studio that was too meddlesome with its prized jewel of a franchise. In a long search for an inexperienced yet talented director that they could control and micromanage, Fox settled on Fincher, a rising star with a professed love for the Alien franchise and its founding director, Ridley Scott. Alien 3 proved to be a radical departure from the established conventions of the franchise, killing off the survivors of Aliens immediately and leaving Sigourney Weaver's Lieutenant Ripley broken and stranded on an industrial prison planet, nicknamed Fury by the all-male population of murderers, rapists, and religious zealots serving time there. In her third performance as Ripley, Weaver yet again transforms the character via a radical evolution into a tough, resilient survivor. Her arc through the series is compelling, and for all the controversies over the film's storyline, Weaver deserves a lot of credit for never phoning it in when she very easily could have. Hers is the only familiar face in this hellish new world, save for the mutilated visage of Lance Henriksen's android, Bishop, and his flesh and blood counterpart that appears towards the end of the film.
Ripley.
Bishop.
I'm here to help you.
Among the fresh blood, so to speak, Charles S. Dutton, Charles Dance, and Pete Postlethwaite stand out as the most compelling inmates on Fury 161. Dutton plays Dylan, a tough, righteous voice of spiritual authority that the other inmates can rally behind.
Look, I'm on your side.
Dance plays Clemens, the sensitive, intellectual medical officer who helps Ripley acclimate to this harsh world and harbors a dark secret of his own. The late, great character actor Postlethwaite plays David, an observant prisoner with a high degree of intelligence. Fincher's collaborations with the director of photography Jeff Cronenweth in the music video realm led to Fincher hiring his father, the legendary Jordan Cronenweth, as Alien 3's cinematographer. Best known for his work on Ridley Scott's seminal masterpiece Blade Runner, Cronenweth the Elder was swiftly consumed by Parkinson's disease during production. The earliest of Alien 3's several considerable production woes, Cronenweth's condition deteriorated so quickly that cinematographer Alex Thompson had to step in and replace him, only 2 weeks into the shoot. Despite this setback, Alien 3 is a visual stunner that firmly establishes Fincher's uncompromising style in the feature realm. Fincher's stark, grungy aesthetic translates well into the theatrical anamorphic aspect ratio format, with the smoky, industrial production design by Norman Reynolds giving Fincher plentiful opportunities to incorporate artful silhouettes and his signature cold, desaturated color palette. Only Fincher can make a palette that deals heavily in oranges and browns feel cold. Fincher's emphasis on architecture and world-building manifests in a subtle, surprising way. He chooses to shoot a great deal of the film in low-angle shots that look up at the characters and expose the ceiling. This creates an air of helplessness that pervades the film, like we're way over our heads and drowning in despair. While this hopeless mood ultimately might have contributed to the film's failure at the box office, it's an inspired way for Fincher to communicate a real, tangible world that draws us into it. Most sets are built without a ceiling, so a lighting grid can be easily installed overhead, but by showing the audience the existence of a ceiling, it subconsciously tells us we're in a place that exists in real life, and that the events of the film could very well happen to us. Well, maybe not quite. Fincher and Thompson's camera work in Alien 3 is also worth noting. Fincher has always had a firm, visionary command of camera movement, and the considerable resources of studio backing allows him to indulge in sweeping, virtuoso moves that bring a fresh, terrifying energy to the film. A particular highlight is a tunnel sequence towards the end of the film, where the xenomorph chases the inmates through a huge, twisting labyrinth. Fincher uses a Steadicam that assumes the POV of the xenomorph as it rages through the tunnels, twisting and spinning at seemingly impossible angles to communicate the alien's terrifying agility and speed. The industrial, foreboding nature of Fincher's visuals are echoed in composer Elliot Goldenthal's atmospheric score. Instead of using traditional symphonic arrangements, Goldenthal blurs the line between music and sound effects by incorporating non-instruments and electronic machinations into an atonal blend of sounds. In many ways, this approach proves to be even scarier than anything a conventional orchestra could conjure up. To reflect the medieval, religious nature of Fury 161's inhabitants, Goldenthal also adapts haunting choral requiems that weave themselves into his tapestry of ominous sounds and tones.
That's fine. Yeah, that's better. You shoot 1,000 takes of it, there's bound to be one that's good, right?
See it again? I'd buy it. This blood's the wrong color.
Alien 3's infamous production disasters are well documented, hopefully as a means to ensure that the film industry as a collective learns from the production's mistakes. These woes began during the earliest stages of pre-production, which saw the hiring and resigning of director Rennie Harlin before Vincent Ward came aboard for a short period to realize his vision of a wooden cathedral planet populated by apocalyptic monks. While a semblance of this conceit remains in the finished film, the script was changed radically several times before cameras started rolling, and even then the filmmakers didn't have a finished version to work from. The ramifications of this were numerous, from actors growing frustrated with constantly changing character arcs and confusing plot inconsistencies. Several $1 million were wasted on sets that were built and never used. The process was particularly hard on Fincher, who was constantly fighting a losing battle against incessant studio meddling that overruled his decisions and undermined his authority.
Action! Cut. One more. It was a little bit too fast.
Fed up with the lack of respect his vision was being given, the young director barely hung on long enough to wrap production, and walked off entirely when it came time to edit. The fact that he ever decided to make another feature film again after that ordeal is something of a miracle. Despite constant challenges to his control of the film, Fincher's hand is readily apparent in every frame. A science fiction film such as this is heavily reliant on special effects, a challenge that Fincher's background at ILM makes him well suited for. Computer-generated imagery was still in its infancy in 1992, so Fincher and company had to pull off Alien 3's steampunk vision of hell through a considered mix of miniatures, puppets, animatics, and matte paintings. Some of the earliest CGI in film history can be glimpsed in the scene where the skull of the hot lead-covered xenomorph cracks under the sudden onset of cold water before exploding. Fincher's fascination with technology plays well into the Alien universe, where the complete absence of technology, and for that matter, weapons, is used as a compelling plot device to generate suspense and amplify the hopelessness of the character's scenario. In order to vanquish the monster, they ultimately have to resort to the oldest form of technology known to mankind: fire. Alien 3 fared decently at the box office, mostly due to franchise recognition and the considerable fan base built up by the film's two predecessors, but it was mercilessly savaged by the critics. Long considered the worst entry in the series until Alien Resurrection gave it a run for its money, Alien 3 has become something of a cult classic as Fincher's profile has risen. Fans forgave the film of its transgressions because they knew Fincher's vision had been hijacked and tampered with. They knew that somewhere out there, in the countless reels of film that were shot, Fincher's original vision was waiting to be given shape. In 2003, Fox attempted to make amends by creating a new edit of the film, dubbed the Assembly Cut. Fincher understandably refused to participate in the re-edit, so Fox had to go off the auteur's original notes in restoring his vision. The 2003 Assembly Cut differs markedly from the 1992 original, restoring entire character arcs and adding a good 50 minutes worth of footage back into the story. There are several key changes in this new cut, like Ripley being discovered on the beach instead of her escape pod, the xenomorph bursting out of an ox and not a dog, and the removal of the newborn alien queen bursting out of Ripley's chest as she falls to her death. The end result is a much better version of the film, giving us greater insight to the characters and their actions. While it doesn't quite make up for the studio's stunning lack of respect for Fincher during the making of the film, it ultimately proved that their concerns about a young, untested director were completely unfounded and were the film's ultimate undoing.
Dusk and a blue sky. You can't paint the sky right along there. Okay, Ezra?
Gotcha.
We're cool on the concept now. We're all hip to this. You
tape.
saw it right
It's on
here.
film. Dusk and a blue sky.
Ezra just
we'll
said,
shoot it anyway.
if it's a blue sky, we don't have to shoot. Right, Ezra? Hi, Joe.
Yeah.
The experience of making Alien 3 would be enough for any director to quit filmmaking forever. But thankfully, this wasn't the end for Fincher. He would go back to the music video and commercial sector to lick his wounds for a while, but his true feature breakout was just on the horizon.
Ship destroyed.